So let's make a pop art onomatopoeia. Just to remind you, we're basing our pop art onomatopoeia on Roy Lichtenstein. He is the pop artist that would take images from comic books and cartoons, even the words, and turn them into very large pieces of art. So here's kind of an example of what yours might look like when it's done. This is boom for on my onomatopoeia. And you can see I have my bin day dots in the background. And those dots are the dots that you would have seen in comic books or in newspapers for comic strips. And that's how they added color into the comic books and newspapers. They couldn't just do flat color. They had to introduce it by dots. And that's named after a man named Benjamin Day, who invented that, and so they're called bin day dots. So I'll be adding some bin day dots into my onomatopoeia as well. You'll need one of your white pieces of art paper for today. And I'm going to fold mine in half because I don't really need a full sheet. It's a little dirty on that side, so let me flip it. This works better as a smaller piece of art. And I'm going to start with a pencil. And I'm just going to do the word pop. If you want to do the word pop with me, you can. If you want to come up with your own onomatopoeia, that's fine too. So first I'm just going to start by writing the word in just regular letters. Like that. And I want to change this into more of a block letter. And that's really easy to do with this particular word. For the O, you would just need to do a smaller O inside, like that. For the P, a smaller little arch, like that. Okay, on either one. And then you want to take this line and turn this into a nice fat rectangle. And just to clean it up a little bit, I like to erase here and here. There we go. And same on this one. Turn it into a nice fat rectangle and erasing. All right, so I've got the word pop, all right? And pop always reminds me of when someone pops gum. So I am going to do around it kind of a wiggly squiggly line as if it was gum that somebody popped and it went every which way. There we go. And I'll do a few little pieces of the gum maybe escaped and kind of popped away from the original pop. There we go. So that's my choice. Again, you can do any type of onomatopoeia you want. All right, that is up to you. That is an artist's choice. Now, at this point, we're going to add some color. If you don't have any color at your house, do not be too discouraged. You can still have a really neat onomatopoeia with just a pencil. So if you find yourself with only a pencil, then I'm challenging you right now to think about what can you do to make this a little more interesting. Well, you could add stripes to your word. Each letter could have its own design. You can do this with color, by the way, too, but it's just something extra if you find that you only have a pencil. I think for this one I want to do maybe a squiggly line, starting to make it look like a donut, but I love donuts, so I'm good with that. And then over here, I think I will do polka dots. Fill up my whole P with little polka dots. There we go. And if you have a pencil, you can color in every other one. You could color in your polka dots, things like that. You could also come back in and add your bin day dots in the background. I'm going to move on to color. If you have color, you can use anything really today for color. Markers, colored pencils, oil pastels, crayons, whatever you got. I've got some markers. And when I use markers, I like to use my lightest color first and move from my lightest to my darkest, because you've probably noticed before when you're coloring with a yellow marker that sometimes it will pull from the colors around it. So if you use your yellows and your pinks and your oranges first, that's one way to prevent that from happening. And I'll give a demonstration here in a second about what I'm talking about. I also like to save black for last when I'm coloring. So if I'm coloring this in, if I wanted to trace it, and I do like to trace things, I would trace it after I colored it. See that? Because if I don't, what's going to happen, and I'm going to show you right now what I was talking about a minute ago, if I trace it first, Get nice and close to this. If I trace it first and then color it second, what's going to happen is it's going to pull, the yellow is going to pull the black into the yellow. If you do the yellow first, then you can kind of have a cleaner area and that won't happen. So if you save this little black, I'm going to put the cap on it and I'm not going to play with that black until I'm done coloring everything. So that was my little black lesson for you. It's such a beautiful, lovely dark color to use, but we do want to save it for the end for all our fun little details. So I'm in the mood to use pinks and yellows today. If you were Roy Lichtenstein, you would probably stick with reds, oranges, reds, yellows, and blues. He loved using the primary colors. I like using the colors that I'm in the mood to use, and I'm in the mood to use orange and pink. Maybe you're a red type of person, or you like purple, or you want to do rainbow for your onomatopoeia. That's fine, however you want to do it. I'm just going to add a little bit of color on each one of my letters here. And please do your best coloring. This is art lesson after all. Try to use those light colors first and follow with your darker colors. All right, and I want to go back in and add my Ben Day dots. Remember we talked about how they were the dots that Benjamin Day created, and that's how they added color to comic books. So I'm going to go in behind my pop, and I'm going to add some dots that are kind of like the Ben Day dots. And if you look at any of Roy Lichtenstein's work, and I happen to have one here, I can just put it underneath. If you look right here, you can see he's got, look real close, and see if we can focus that. He's got Ben Day dots in the little lady's face, the little dots. And then look, there's somebody cosplaying that same painting. Isn't that neat? So Ben Day dots are pretty fun. Let me refocus that so y'all can see. It's really taking its time refocusing. Boom, there we go. So that's a fun little way to add some detail behind your onomatopoeias. Remember, onomatopoeia is when a word sounds like the sound it makes. Boom, zap, bing, zing, all those words. Great onomatopoeias. For this particular lesson, I'm not going to color the whole background in. I'm just going to do a little bit of details. And I'll leave it up to you. If you want to color your whole background in, you can. When I was doing this one, boom, I did want to color behind it. And I put my Ben Day dots inside, and I wanted to color all mine. But you can, it's an artist choice, up to you. All right, now that I'm done adding my color, now I can go back and trace with that lovely dark black, and it will really pop, and it will be so nice and clean, and you won't run into that problem that you ran into before where you color with a color and then try to, or trace first and then color and then wonder, why did everything bleed or blend together? Yeah. And of course, when you are finished with your onomatopoeia, if you would go ahead and upload it so I can give you credit for it. Who doesn't love getting credit for your work? I want to show you a little artist trick that I do sometimes when I'm working on a piece of art. So I don't have my hand smear things. Sometimes I'll turn my paper. And when I turn my paper, I turn it so I'm close to whatever I'm drawing. And sometimes I'll even turn it that much just to get to that easy. All right. Da-da! So there's my pop art onomatopoeia. I cannot wait to see yours. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Please upload it for credit. Good job.